Jason, thank you for the opportunity to speak. So I believe I have 6 minutes. Real quick, as they're bringing up the slide packet's being passed out to you. So I am Jim Suty. I'm the president of Friends of Oceano Dunes. I'm going to talk a lot more fact, and I'm not following my wife, so there should be less emotion. So this should be hopefully a good discussion. So for those not familiar with me or Friends of Oceano Dunes, I'd like to take a minute to explain us. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit. We were formed in 2001. So the years of service on there is an error. I found that after I printed them. So it's been 18 years. 18 years since we formed the nonprofit, and I've sat on the technical review team for the park for the last 18 years. Friends of Oceano Dunes formed after going to a Coastal Commission hearing, commonly known as the Valentine's Day Massacre in 2001, where the Coastal Commission actually took a vote to close the park. At that time, we said, the Suty family said, we got to do something. So I reached out to a lot of different people, and Ed Waldheim stepped up. So Ed and I founded Friends of Oceano Dunes, and we've been going ever since. So real quick, the next slide. Many of you probably know some of the history of what's transpired over the years, but my family's been recreating out there for over 50 years. So we personally have experienced the dramatic change over the years, going from the total of 18 miles of beach and over 18,000 acres of recreation to what happened in 1982, where it was reduced to a 1,500 acre OHV park with some buffer area around it. Over the years, the park has continually dwindled. We've lost areas due to endangered species. We've lost areas for expanded fences and vegetation. Time and time again, we lose. Oops. So I talked a little bit about in 2003, we lost a lot of different areas for various things that took place. The beach camping was greatly reduced. And now as you fast forward, we start doing this dust implementation that State Parks has done. There's several things that's noteworthy. Down here at the bottom right is a 40-acre parcel that was lost. It was previously used for OHV recreation. It was taken from us, planted, and fenced off. And at the time, the deputy director, told me, "Hey Jim, we got to do this to protect Oceano Lake, but we're gonna make it so we can put trails in there so you can enjoy it." So, all right, if we have to do what I need to do to protect Oceano Lake, then let's do it. But give me my trails. 15 years later, I'm still being told we're hoping to get those trails soon. Time and time again, we are promised things that don't come true. My wife highlighted the bathroom, the 7.5 re-veg area. State Park said, "Hey, we got to close this area off. We're going to put a nice bathroom for the public." But the bathroom never happened, and they never gave the land back. Time and time again, we lose. This map is taken straight from the PMRP report that they mentioned that was just released earlier this week. This report was created February 1, 2019 and updated the 21st of February. In the spirit of transparency, why are we not getting this? Why isn't State Parks distributing this? I've been on the technical review team for 18 years. Why isn't this being shared? There's a lack of transparency. Let me back up. In the pictures, there's a snowy plover that shows all the 300 acres to the bottom left. It's not really visible here in this picture. In the PMRP, so they talked about this.
Jim, excuse me, let me just interrupt you just for a second.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the time that you need to get through your presentation, so
thank you.
Slow down, because I want to take it all in. All right?
Thank you, I appreciate that. That does help. So this comes straight from the PMRP report. And disappointed State Parks is giving us all an update. They've released this report. They don't show you the impact. Why do I have to come forward and show you what the potential impact is? Seems a little funny. So this is the SVRA. They're talking about adding a foredune here. This foredune wasn't part of the 1930s vegetation, but yet this is something they're talking about doing. They're talking about adding acreage, taking away acreage here. One of the things that is not shown in the PMRP report is when you throw in the snowy plover area, this big section of area, you lose a substantial part of the park. So the park goes from 1,500 acres. So let's do the math. We lose 300 acres for snowy plovers from March through September. We lose 500 for all the dust mitigation, and we've lost well over 100 acres for other things over the years. 1,500 acres can go down to 600 acres in a very short period of time. State parks talked about the 1930s aerial vegetation as that is the golden child to go to. Why? This park's been around thousands of years. Why 1930s? How do they know from the 1930s vegetation that it's truly natural vegetation and not man-made? They don't. The language is pretty clear. They're going to diminish the park. There's going to be substantial reductions. It's going to be a significant impact. Met with Lisa Mangat last Friday in Sacramento. Expressed my frustration and the lack of transparency from state parks. I feel that this public works plan is the shiny little object to keep our attention off while the scientific advisory group is over here closing the park. There's no real OHV representation on the scientific advisory group. There's no one really representing the recreational interests of the park. I'd like to see that changed. Lastly, there needs to be some questions about the modeling. So, for those who don't know my day job, even though I get emotional about this, I manage a $100 million operating unit, and I support the national defense. I manage nuclear propulsion for submarines and aircraft carriers. I deal with a lot of data. When you do modeling in the defense world, you have to validate the model. This model has not been validated. To the best of my knowledge, everything I've read, the model doesn't take into account wind effects. There's things called the Bernoulli effect. If you've ever done any study of how an airplane works, it's a Bernoulli effect going over the air wing. There's a lot of things that need to go into the model that they haven't done. But yet it says rush, 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 close, 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 and we're taking the ultimate punishment for it. So thank you very much for the extended time.
Okay, if you maybe hang out just for a minute. I gotta imagine there's going to be a bunch of questions for you. I'm going to start with staff, and if they have anything they want to jump in on.